Well, good afternoon. This is your Money on Market Sense, where we look at your personal finance issues. A little later on, it will be SME on Point, where we look at all things small businesses. More home repossessions are expected this year, as many people have lost their jobs to the impact of COVID-19. According to research conducted by a personal finance website, Just Money, about 34% of respondents say that their family earnings were significantly affected by the lockdown. Naledi Matlapeng takes a look at what options you have to avoid your home being repossessed.
According to the law, if you default for 3 months or more on your monthly home loan repayments, the bank may repossess your house and sell it in order to recover the outstanding money owed. In the past, repossessed homes were sold without a reserve price, meaning the banks could sell your house for much less than what it was worth, and you will still be liable for the outstanding debt. This left customers with a potentially lifelong debt, but now more stringent rules have been put in place to protect homeowners.
Government has put in a lot of different prevention measures and things to help people during the economy, this lockdown period. And it's important that you know what your rights are. The bank cannot just take your home without having notified you that this is going to take place. And if you have missed payments then and haven't gone through the due process, then this is something they are able to actually repossess your home if you haven't, gone to court and given reason as to why they shouldn't. So what's really important is that you actually want to look at how you can prevent repossession, because once the bank has your home, they can sell it through auction, and then they can sell it at whatever price that they can get.
About 68% of the respondents say that their savings will only last them up to 1 month if they were to lose their jobs. Consumers are urged to watch their spending and have at least 3 months worth of emergency fund. And if you can no longer afford to meet your monthly home loan repayments, there are options to consider to avoid repossessions.
You could rent out your property, you could restructure your loan over a longer term, or if you have problems repaying multiple loans on top of your bond, then you could consider debt counseling as well.
You need to inform your bank when you start facing financial difficulties instead of playing hide and seek, and selling your house before it gets repossessed could be a better option for you, as you are likely to get a better price for it. This will help you avoid the cost associated with repossessions. Naledi Matlapeng, SABC News, Johannesburg.
For more, I'm joined by Mbuyiselo Khumalo from Absa Home Loans to talk about whether more houses are being repossessed due to the impact of COVID-19 and the challenges faced by consumers and what they're doing as a bank. Mr. Khumalo, thank you so much for your time on Your Money on Market Sense. Are you finding that as Absa, you're repossessing more homes now, particularly during the period of COVID-19 and the impact that it has had on consumers and homeowners?
Good day, Diabo, and good day to your listeners as well. Thanks for having me. So we're currently not seeing the rate of repossessions going up, and there's a number of reasons for that. The first one is that during the lockdown, we did not have much happening in terms of the court processes, because courts and the judiciary understood that people were under a lot of stress, and really we did not want to exacerbate that particular situation. I think that's the first one. The second thing, Diabo, is from an Absa point of view, we also implemented what we called payment relief, which was designed to give consumers a bit of a breather and allow them time and space to focus on the health outcomes that are associated with COVID-19, while also making the appropriate plans to try and deal their finances. So by and large, we haven't seen an increase in terms of the rate of repossessions. But what's interesting, Diabo, is we've seen an increase with regards to the number of people that are falling in arrears. And the trend that we're seeing is similar to the market research that you just informed your viewers on, where there's a higher number of people that have been in arrears before that are now falling into arrears. But as a banker, we've stepped up, in addition to the payment relief, to try and meet consumers and their families in their moments of need. And we're committed to navigating this tough journey with them. And hopefully we'll come to the other end having been better on both sides.
Yeah. Mr. Khumalo, let's talk about, it's quite stressful enough, for any consumer, to find themselves at the mercy of the bank. And others have resorted to suing the banks and saying that I've paid my house for this long, and only when I couldn't pay for 1 year, say for instance, I've paid for my house for 15 years, and on the 16th year, I can't pay my house. And then it gets repossessed, and they've taken a lot of banks to court. Do you think that as banks, you could find another alternative as opposed to really, taking someone's home and someone finding themselves homeless?
Absolutely. Thanks for that question, Diego. So from an Absa point of view, repossessions are a point of last resort. And what I mean by that is it is only after all other reasonable steps have been exhausted would we then even consider that court-mandated repossession process. We encourage our consumers, whether you've been with us for a year or you've been with us for 15 years, to reach out to us as soon as you know or you anticipate that you might run into financial difficulty. Because the sooner you approach us, the sooner we can explore a number of alternatives to try and meet you in your moment of need and hopefully cater to the situation that you find yourself. But be that as it may, if a consumer doesn't contact us, we also try to contact them as soon as we are aware of the arrears. And our approach, Diabo, is to allow the consumer to walk us through their personal journey, make us understand where they find themselves. And if we are then able to determine that they have a short-term plan, we have then short-term plans that we can actually extend to the consumer, whereby for a period of up to 6 months, they can pay as little as 25% of their normal contractual installment.
Okay.
At the end of the month period, we can then reassess if their situation has improved and then take further steps to try and work the journey. In the event that it happens, that the consumer makes us aware that the situation is a bit longer term in terms of its impact, then we're able then to also restructure the loan to the product maximum of over 30 years, whereby we can reduce their obligations to a much lower amount. So it is never our intention to actually sell a consumer's home the moment they actually fall into arrears, nor do we lose sight of the journey that they've walked with us. So if I take your example where a consumer has been paying for a period of 15 years, you would find that over that time, they have reduced the amount that they had borrowed quite significantly.
True.
Over and above that, you would find that the home loan has appreciated in value over the past 15 years. So that creates a bit of equity in the property that we can rely on in trying to cater for the consumer situation. And if it happens that they're not able to secure reasonable employment or an inflow of funds, then we encourage them to sell that property at more market-related prices. And Absa has a flagship program called Help to Sell. If the situation is like we had described in most cases, you'll find that they'll be able then to expunge their debt and also have a bit of money left over for them to start over and rebuild their lives. It will be remiss of me not to mention this idea. So we understand that the COVID-19 impact is deep. And it will probably last and be with us for long. So what we've done as Absa is we are in the process of pivoting a number of makers that are typically in the front end of the business to come
Before I cut you off there, Mr. Khumalo, it seems like we are out of time, but I will urge our viewers, to go to our YouTube channel where I'm sure that Naledi Matlapeng will be speaking to you to get more steps on what to do once you run into problems. As is the nature of TV, unfortunately, I have to end our interview here with you. But thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Diego.
Well, that was Mbuyiselo.